So that's exactly what I was thinking along the lines of like, because I had a question up here, how when we talked last time, you were telling me this idea of like, oh, there's a lot of things that Cassandra is doing and Kubernetes also does. And I think you mentioned before like self-healing or things like that. And then you were saying like, it's just kind of playing on top of each other. And is it needed? How can you make those so they integrate nicer? Right?
Yeah, let's talk about the way that, let's talk about the future. Let's, like, the way I would love to see it. So the way that the current state of way Cassandra and Kubernetes handle like a node loss, that's what we would consider. Like, so Cassandra being a cluster database, each node is a shared nothing architecture, and you could lose a node in production, you're fine. That's one of the great things about Cassandra is it'll take a beating and keep on ticking. But when that event happens, let's say you have some sort of a hardware failure, the way Kubernetes sees it is, oh, node's out, create a new one, fix that. Okay, restore the state. Okay, that's all it really wants to do. Cassandra's point of view is much different. It's like, no. There was that node stored a certain state of a piece of the cluster. So it is a little more than just a random node. It had some piece of data and a token range assigned to it. So if I'm going to bring back a new node, I either need to reassign the token range or just bring it back with the storage that was attached to it. So this is a great thing about like attached storage is you can just bring up a node, attach the storage, and it's fine. And it's like, oh, where was I? It was like just knocked out for a little bit. So Cassandra feels that a node out is more of an ephemeral operation and not a final, like just kill it with fire and replace it. So when you have this mismatch, this is one of the things I feel like we have an opportunity to do. Like the state management in Kubernetes could be fully aware of data services like that and be much more relaxed about how it, and more informed. Now, right now we're using the operator, but there's more than just Cassandra that has this same issue. Kafka has the same thing too. So if Kubernetes state management was a little more, was smarter about, oh, this is a system that has, and stateful sets are not the answer. That is yet another thing that we added along the way to hopefully fix it. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. That's a really interesting thing we could work on as a community in Kubernetes.
And so what else do you feel Cassandra does and it should be done by Kubernetes, or Kubernetes does and Cassandra does better, that maybe it's like retry logic or disk provisioning with the help of other tools like OpenEBS, or just nothing at all? Do you feel like that's the only area that it could be bettered?
Well, two areas that I focus on right now are network and storage. And so we'll talk about storage because I think that's a pretty interesting. Like I've been talking to the folks over at OpenEBS and Maya Data, and there's some really, I think this is a group think. Like, okay, the way storage works right now with Kubernetes is it's ephemeral if you're using something like a container. But then we created the stateful sets and persistent volume claims and things like that to make it so that we can glue storage into a node. Okay, so that's good. But so when you fire up your pod and you have your storage, you declare it. But there's nothing about the quality of the storage. There's nothing simple about it either. I mean, if you are creating, when you look at the YAML file you do to create a Cassandra cluster, like a good chunk of it is just setting up the storage, and you better understand it, and you're probably going to get it wrong the first time. And that's a real cry for help.
There's some inspiration for you all.
Yeah, exactly. I really do think that, like, as we have storage classes that are inside of a CRD, we should have a storage class for data storage. It's a certain type of storage, and it comes with the things that we want for data storage. Like it does the right quality of service. It does things like you can put in things like snapshotting, how it manages the like the connection, like, you know, it's like a stateful set, except if it was just built into the way that the state of Kubernetes was, instead of a stateful set where you do declarative, you just make that I need data storage of this size and of this quality, and I need a snapshot at every hour. Boom, put that in my YAML file and then be done with it.